In case you're just joining us, this is Good Morning Abuja on NTH Channel 5, the Unity Station. Thank you so much for staying tuned. I'm sure you have been able to pick one or two things from the health tips. Right now, we want to delve into supporting our local farmers, food producers, and the market. And right now, we have a special guest in the house, and the person of Adesua Akimburu, and she is the country director, TechnoServe Nigeria Limited. Adesua, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Good morning. Welcome to Good Morning Abuja.
Thank you.
Wow. Supporting the local food communities. For you, what is that?
So supporting local food communities means supporting our local smallholder farmers
Okay.
that work so hard
Mm.
to produce the food that we eat every day.
Okay.
And not just the smallholder farmers, but everyone across the entire food systems value chain, from the local farmers to the producers, to the processors, to the logistics service providers, to the markets, even the market women, supporting them to make sure that we have high quality food on our tables every day.
Okay, let's look at the significance of supporting them.
Yes, it's very important because when you strengthen the capabilities and the value that they are adding to the food systems value chain, you are strengthening all those that are working to produce the foods we eat.
Okay.
So, for example, at TechnoServe, we work very closely with smallholder farmers. We work very closely with aggregators, with food processors, and we support entrepreneurs. We support each of these players along the entire value chain across a wide variety of crops to increase their productivity, to increase their yield, to increase the quality of crops that they produce, to increase food safety, for example, to make sure that we have highly nutritious foods on our table every day. We support food processors, for example, to fortify their foods. So the wheat oil, the wheat flour that we use to bake snacks, the edible oils that we use to fry our foods, the salt that we put in the food, the sugar that we consume, even the rice that we eat every day. We support food processors to fortify all of these foods to make sure that they are highly nutritious when they get to our tables.
Okay, now how do you think this can help, help our economy?
So when we increase the productivity of the farmers, the volume of produce increases. So for example, across a wide range of crops, Nigeria does not currently produce sufficient volumes for even domestic consumption, not to talk of exporting to other markets. But when we support local farmers to increase their productivity and their yield, they are then able to not only supply enough produce for the domestic market, but they are also able to supply additional that we can export and generate more incomes, not just for the farmers, but for the farmers, all the stakeholders along the value chain, and then income for the country, Nigeria. And then that way our economy grows and expands because we are getting additional incomes.
Okay, when we talk about support, now the government, the NGOs, and then individuals, how do you think, from your own opinion, how do you think all hands can be on deck to support our local farmers and producers?
So everybody can play a role.
Oh.
Yes, everybody can play a role. So we as the NGOs, because we are non-governmental organizations, we're not for profit, we are working as part of a social imperative to make sure that the gaps that the government is unable to address or other players are unable to address because it's not a profitable venture, we can come in and support. So we provide a lot of technical assistance, we provide a lot of training, sometimes we provide inputs and input support, and quite a wide range of services that we offer to the different players. We work very closely with smallholder farmers, with aggregators, and provide them with support with food processors. The government, on the other hand, can support with policy development and implementation. Just ensuring that there's an enabling environment for all the players to operate and function. In addition to just the provision of infrastructure, if we have a very good road network, when the farmers produce their crops, they are able to transport those crops seamlessly from the farm to the markets.
Okay, that's where security comes into.
Exactly. So even in ensuring that we have security, a lot of our farmlands in the rural locations are insecure. And you find that because of that, in some locations, farmers don't want to go to the farms to produce because of the insecurity. The government can support in that area as well. So there are quite a lot of areas that the government can support. And then individuals as well can support by ensuring that they are proud of their local foods and also demanding high quality from the local farmers themselves. Because sometimes people are content with the fact that, well, it is made in Nigeria, so it's not such great quality. No, we have to demand high quality from our own local farmers.
That means there must be quality control.
Exactly.
For whatever we're doing, yeah.
Correct.
Okay, last week we celebrated World Food Day, and the theme for this year was food for a better life and for a better future. How do you think that everyone can afford what would I call it, healthy food, no matter your socio-economic status? So how do you think we can achieve that?
So actually, everybody deserves a plate of nutritious foods at least 3 times a day. Everybody deserves to have that. It is the right of every individual. And we can support this by just making sure that food is available. If we produce foods in sufficient quantities, then it helps the prices to come down.
Okay.
Many times the reason why the food prices are high is because it's not produced in sufficient quantity or not available at the point of need. And sometimes too, there are very high levels of post-harvest losses.
Okay.
As a result of storage, of transportation, of handling, a wide range of things cause high post-harvest losses. And some foods, including fruits and vegetables, have almost as high as 50% post-harvest loss. So while we're increasing the volume or the quantity of food on one hand, on the other hand, if 50% of that volume is lost, then what have we gained?
Okay.
So we increase the volume and the productivity on the one hand, but on the other hand, we must also reduce the losses and the waste. There's a difference between loss and waste. Loss is what is lost at the farm gate or during handling, and then waste is what, when you consumed, you
threw it away.
So if we can reduce the volume lost and the volume wasted, we can feed millions of those who are malnourished across the country.
Okay, yes. I think we'll go on a break, and when we come back, we still have to talk about security, how government can come in to make sure that our farmers are safe at their farm. All right, now we've been talking about supporting local food communities, and you heard it all, but we will continue the discussion, but let's go on this break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. We still have the country director, TechnoServe Nigeria Limited, in the person of Adesua Akimboro in the house, and she's been talking to us about supporting local food communities in Nigeria. So, Adesua.
Thank you very much.
Yes, let's talk about it. Like I said, security. A lot of farmers, like you said, run away from the farm because they are scared. There is no security. So what do you think, as someone who is into agriculture, what do you think we can do to be able to help?
So the first responsibility for security is with the government and security forces.
Oh, okay.
Just making sure that within the communities, communities are secure, people feel safe to move around within the communities, and not just within the communities, but also in the farms. Because as you know, most of our farms are in very deep field rural locations.
Yes.
And some of those deep field rural locations, there's insecurity. Some of this insecurity is caused by, maybe inflationary pressures, the fact that some people in these locations don't have access to the basic necessities that they need, and they feel that they can get it by force. But that doesn't have to be. If everybody has access to the basic necessities of life, food, water, housing, clothing, energy,
we have less of crime.
Reduce crime.
Yeah,
exactly. But in locations where the crime levels are high, the security forces can come in and support.
Okay.
What you find in some locations is that the communities themselves gather together and provide their own security for themselves in their locations. That is not really ideal. That's not really supposed to be, but it happens.
Okay.
Where that happens, that's okay, and they can continue with that. But the ideal situation is that the government ensures that there is security everywhere. reduced levels of kidnapping, reduced levels of armed bandits, and
Nicely.
things like that. All those that prevent our farmers from
Okay,
wanting to go.
let's talk about support system. This time we're looking at the government, support system from the government. What do you think? How do you think we should start? Because we're talking about support system for our local farmers,
Yes.
the producers, the marketers, those who move goods, even transporters.
Yes.
So, what, from your own point of view, what do you think the support system should be?
So in some areas, the government has tried to support farmers with inputs like fertilizer and other sorts of inputs. But there are other areas too where the government can support. So for example, things like access to land, especially for women. You find that men have access to land in some locations where women do not.
Okay.
And in some areas, men typically inherit land from their
and women
parents,
don't.
and women do not. So looking at the policy issues that prevent women from having access to land, because you find that women comprise in significant proportion of the farmers as well in the country. Yes, we have a lot of male farmers, but we also have some female farmers as well. The government can support in this area. In terms of the government can also support we've talked about security, we've talked about input support, and the government can also support with training. Extension agents actually ideally should be provided at every level of the farm.
Okay.
Because really farmers, there are always improved methods of producing crops. And so farmers can be trained on these new and improved ways of producing crops using regenerative agricultural practices, which are practices that do not harm the soil or harm the environment.
Okay.
It improves the quality of the soil. Training on good agricultural practices, for example. And then at the level of transportation of those produce when they are produced, when they harvest,
okay.
Transportation from the farm to the market sometimes is hampered by lack of good roads.
Okay.
The government can support to make sure that we have a good
roads
network
to transport our goods.
From one to another.
Okay.
In some locations where there's flooding, ideally, if the road network was extremely good, we would not have flooding would not be an issue, you see, because there'll be good drainage systems that will clear out the waterways and things like that.
Okay.
So there's a lot of support the government can provide in those areas. And then at the point of processing, there are a lot of laws and rules and regulations around taxation, some duties and fees that are imposed on the processors that sort of hamper their productivity. The governments can support in that area too. In some areas, some value chains, farmers would rather export their crops directly rather than selling it to food processors who would add value to those crops and move it to the next level of production.
Okay.
And value addition to crops improves the incomes, it improves the price, it improves the amount of money that those producing can actually get from their crops. And so the government can support to make sure that there's an enabling environment for processors to operate and to function, and that they are able to access the crops that they need, and those crops can be sold to them at a reasonable rate to allow them continue processing and add value to the crops. And it happens in a wide range of value chains, including cashew, cocoa, a wide range of value chains. They have similar challenges in this area. And the government can support just to make sure that there's an enabling environment for all the players to be able, even starting businesses, starting businesses in Nigeria. Yes,
after harvest,
to reduce post-harvest losses. If we had constant electricity, constant power supply, it would be easier to store crops, especially those that are highly perishable, because those highly perishable crops, like fruits and vegetables, are highly nutritious and need to be stored.
Just like we have after harvesting tomatoes.
Exactly.
And we have tomatoes in abundance. And suddenly when the season is over, it becomes...
The tomatoes are all gone.
Or if we have good storage system where we can, then we'll make sure it will now, we'll have tomatoes at all times.
Exactly.
Okay, let's look at the challenges. We know that I don't want to say the challenges are too numerous, but I know farmers face a lot of challenges.
Yes.
Like you mentioned, you talked about the road, you talked about security. But what do you think, what other things do you think the farmers and local producers are going through right now?
Okay, so we've talked about insecurity.
Yeah.
We've talked about high post-harvest losses. We've talked about access to inputs. So, one of the challenges is access to inputs, inputs such as fertilizers. In addition to that, the prices are going up every day.
Every day, yeah.
Yes, it's in addition to the prices of food and things like that, prices of inputs for the farmers are going up every day. And this also is a challenge for them. In addition to that, access to markets, being able to find a market for their produce is also a challenge, which is an area that we are supporting farmers in, just making sure that they have access to the right markets for at the right time for their produce, access to skills and knowledge. So we provide them with training and all of that. Sometimes they don't know the most up-to-date methods of producing their crops. We support in that area too. Access to finance, for example, being able to, access
Grants.
loans, grants, and things like the funds, the basic funds, to be able to, grow, buy the basic inputs they need and grow their crops. So there are a wide range of challenges like this. Infrastructure, we've talked about infrastructure, we've talked about energy, and things like that. So those are major
and if all this is put in place, we'll have enough food, affordable food for everyone.
That's right.
And your final words. I know your advice to the government.
And
to
sorry,
can
I just say another challenge? And this is specifically with regards to rice farmers. The access to paddy.
Oh.
Yes, that has been a major challenge for rice farmers, particularly in Nigeria. Because really, if they had access to paddy, they would be able to produce high quality rice, large volumes of rice, and then even the millers themselves will be able to mill sufficient rice
for
to
everyone.
feed the country.
And then we won't have, because the price of rice right now is something else.
It has tripled.
Honestly, so your final word to the government, to farmers, maybe a word of encouragement to farmers, and then your message to the government as we round up the program.
Okay, so just to say that, at this time, really, Nigeria can be a food basket for the continent, not just for West Africa, but for the continent.
Yeah.
Because Nigeria, we are called the big brother of Africa.
Of Africa.
we can be the big brother in everything, in production of food. We can actually produce enough food to supply not just our domestic market and to feed Nigerians across the country, but we can also provide sufficient to feed other countries in West Africa and other countries in Africa as well. We can do it. If we set our hearts to it, there's a lot that we can do. If we set our hearts to it, we can do it. And the government has a role to play, just making sure that the environment is conducive, making sure that they are supporting not just the farmers, but other players, making sure that the infrastructure is in place. And then the individuals themselves, because as Nigerians, we need to be proudly Nigerian, proud of Nigerian produce, proud of locally produced products. Oh yes, there are a lot of other things that we can procure and purchase, but in addition to the ones that are produced by our local farmers.
Wow.
And so if every one of us supports our local farmers, local production, our food processors, we will go a long way to feeding the nation and the world.
Okay, there's something I forgot. There's something going on now.
Yes.
Every home a garden. Yes. What's your take, briefly, what's your take on it? Every home, especially women.
Yes.
Every home a garden. So what's your take?
So I think it's very important, every home a garden, because, people can actually grow the food they eat. We have a project where we are supporting home gardening.
Okay.
Yes, we're supporting women in the communities, and we're training them to plant the local fruits and vegetables that are grown in their communities every day.
Okay.
And we're training them on how to grow these crops, how to take care of them, how to harvest, just to make sure that, one, they're able to feed themselves and their families, especially at this time.
Yeah.
Because at this time, everybody deserves and has a right to good, high quality nutrition.
Affordable
food. So we're training them to grow their own food and produce their own food. And then once they can feed themselves, they can then sell the rest off and get some income.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You know, she said something. If we put our heart to it, we can do it. And we are the big brother of Africa. So we can actually feed ourselves and also feed West Africa, yes, she has said it. You've heard it, or we've been talking about supporting local food communities. And we've been speaking with the country director, TechnoServe Nigeria Limited, in the person of Adesua Akimboro. You heard all she said. And she's saying them with passion, so we can do it. And she has told us so much that both the government, NGOs, you and I, everyone. So it's all hands on deck to make sure we all have affordable food on our table. It's been Good Morning Abuja. Please don't go anywhere. Let's join Sadiq Sally in this musical. We'll be right back. Welcome back. That was Pressure by Telvin. And guess what? Telvin is in the house. Please join me as I welcome him to the studio. Telvin, you're
you.
clapping for yourself.
I should.
Yes, so it's good. When nobody claps for you, you need to clap for yourself.
No, it
Telvin,
Yeah,
you're
Kevin.
welcome.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pressure, 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 pressure. What's behind that? What's behind that music?
Well, I think every Nigerian can relate at this moment, but that's not really the inspiration behind pressure.
Okay,
Pressure is a heart cry of a young man,
okay.
especially from this part of the world. You know, after school, NYC, after NYC, then what next? You know, the struggle of becoming yourself, living to your full potential, and giving yourself principles. There are things you cannot do, things you can do, and you see people going the wrong way, and it looks like you're not even doing anything. You know, so those are the things that
And there is this temptation to
there's,
join them,
you get. There's
do the
this,
wrong thing.
but you just can't do it because of your background or because of where you are going to, personality, and all of that. A particular day, the day I wrote the song, I was just in the house. I mean, there was just nothing in the accounts, no food. And then I was supposed to go, it was on Sunday, I was supposed to be in church and I couldn't go because of transportation issue. So, you know, us artists, we make use of every opportunity. Sad moments, happy moments, we just try and make use of it. So I sat down, I was thinking. My friend called, they're like, oh, how far now? Let's go out. I said, today is Sunday now, bro. I'm supposed to be in church. They said, but since you're not going, let's just go out and chill. Views on us. I'm like, God, what is this? So I just took my pen and it started coming.
Wow.
So that's how pressure came about.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yes,
Wow.
wow.
So, music. What kind of music do you play? First and foremost.
Okay. Answering this question, okay, let me just say, it's gospel music I do, but we have a little twist of Afro. So we call it Afro gospel.
We call it, or you.
Okay. Okay.
Let's know who is calling it Afro.
Okay, there's a community now, community of young musicians that are Christians. But what we do is Afro-like. But our lyrics are gospel inspired,
Okay.
Jesus
Your
centered.
message. Okay.
It's Jesus.
Oh.
And you can see definitely I don't look like the typical gospel artist.
Why? But
It's-
you're not. What is wrong?
I
Why are you saying
mean,
that?
I mean, in Africa, we believe
Well
gospel.
covered now.
I believe in Africa, we believe gospel musicians are characterized by their attire, you know, shiny shoes,
Are you serious?
no beards.
Are you serious? Okay, now let's go to the business. Why did you choose to go into music? Where is it? When? Okay, why did you choose to go into music? And then when did you start? I know you won't tell me you started from your mother's
It's possible.
so it's true. So tell me.
Okay, music has always been my thing from childhood. And in as much as my parents will deny the fact, but the fact is just clear that I got it from my mom
Okay.
and my dad. Funny enough, my dad named me after a musician he liked.
Oh,
And
Calvin.
it was so Tevin Campbell. I don't know if you've heard.
Okay, okay. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, I
so
think
it
I've.
was so funny that he didn't even know the meaning of the name. He just gave me because he liked the man.
Mm.
Yes, and I just started bearing the name. Down to my secondary school, people were asking, "What's the meaning of your name?" And I would just find something I don't know, and they'll be like, "You don't know the meaning of your
Well,
name?"
I hope you know now.
Yeah, yeah.
So what's the meaning of Calvin?
Something beautiful, something
Okay.
elegant,
Okay.
and all of that.
Okay.
So music started from my mom and my dad.
Hmm.
I think they are both musicians. My dad was a choir director. My mom sings soprano very well,
Wow.
very well. So
So he runs in the house.
yes, he runs in. My brother is an artist. My junior brother is an artist. The one next to me is an artist, signed under a major record label.
Wow.
So born into a
What's
church.
his name?
Increase.
Okay.
Yep.
Increase. Okay.
I'm not sure you know.
No.
Yeah. So born into a Christian family, we must go to church. And then I saw that I would fit in the choir, because of the musical drive. And then I joined the choir, and then I saw that I had something in me.
Hmm.
Whenever I sing, I just see that you know, there's something coming out from me to people. And I believe that if I could be out there, I could really preach Jesus through my music.
Beautiful.
And started.
Now, for you, how has it been? How do you see the music industry in Nigeria in your journey? But for how long have been into music?
Um, I can say professionally 5 years now.
Okay. So
Professionally 5 years.
so you can talk about the industry and how has it been?
Well, it's been rough. It's been rough, but I mean everything about life has a beginning. It's never easy.
Always a teaching
There's the
stage.
exactly. It's never easy from the beginning, but with consistency, determination, you'll be able to succeed. Um, yeah, yeah. That's basically it.
So how do you see the industry, the music industry?
Though I'm not really into the secular part of the
Okay.
industry, so I just know the gospel part of it. And well, from the gospel, from the word, that the key factor is God.
Okay, but generally, how do you, your own point of view now, what do you think we're doing? Our music industry now,
Yeah, Nigeria, we are doing well.
both gospel and
Yeah, yes, we are doing well. We are breaking ground. I mean, Afrobeat is now a global sound. Everybody is now fighting to enter into our industry. I think it's breaking
sing our
ground.
songs,
Sing
dance
our
to our
songs,
music,
it
and
was-
all that and all that. So, for you, would you say the industry is lucrative?
Yes, yes, it is.
So, you have you started making money? Let's know now.
Well, of course. Okay, how it works is that there are diverse means of making money
Okay.
in the industry.
Industry. Okay.
Yep. The major one is your streams.
Okay.
You put out your songs on digital platforms. I'm sure you heard of Spotify,
Yeah.
Apple Music. So they pay you based on your streams. You get 1,000 streams, you're being paid for it.
Oh,
Yeah, you don't need to leave your house and go and organize concert and shows.
okay.
Basically, you drop song, you get streams,
Okay.
you get paid. But it's not as easy as
Yes.
as it is.
Okay, in 1 minute, where would you say you'll be in the next, should I say 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years? In just 1 minute.
By the grace of God, I know I'm going to be big, very, very, very big.
And I say very big amen.
Amen.
Very big amen. Now, we won't let you go. Before we round up, we want you to at least give us a song.
Okay.
Okay, and after the song, you just advise just few words to someone who wants to go into music or someone who is struggling with their career in music.
Okay.
So first, your song.
So I'll just
Freestyle.
yes, just sing pressure.
Oh, okay.
He said, eyes done red though, head dey hot. Overthinking na my best friend. Sometimes we smile, now to cover up and to make sense of the atmosphere. All of my guys, them dey ball. Some dey send money say make I leave house. I no go lie, sometimes I look back, turn too short, grace he brought me back. Inside back oh, hands on the plow, I no fit to bow for the pressure oh. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I no fit to bow for the pressure. Oh. We walk by faith and not by sight. I no fit to bow for the pressure. Oh. Help on the hills, eyes on the hills. I no fit to bow for the pressure.
Wow, beautiful, beautiful. And truly, truly, nobody should bow to
Nobody
pressure.
at all.
Negative pressure, nobody should.
Negative, oh,
Negative
negative.
pressure, nobody.
Yes.
Eyes on the hill.
Eyes on the hills,
And
help on the hills.
Yes, and surely you'll get there. So, what would you say to someone who is struggling? Just like you said, no matter the pressure,
You shouldn't
my
bow.
guys are saying, let's go. But I'm saying, I'm not going to go. So,
shouldn't
what
bow.
would you say to someone who is also facing the same pressure?
I would say just start.
Hmm.
No matter what you want to do, just start. Especially if you want to do music.
Hmm.
Just start. The Bible talked about now. They said now is the time.
The set time.
So now should be your time. Now I'm not going to say when you discovered your purpose, because I believe singing is not really a purpose. You understand? Is a mantle, is a tool you use. And so what you do with that mantle is the purpose. So just start doing something. Start recording. Start making videos. Start studying the algorithm. Some will say, God has not given them the go ahead to launch in yet. But then, what are you doing? Do you know about pitching songs? Do you know about writing lyrics? I mean, go there, study whatever you want to do, and then just start doing something.
Wow.
And you'll be amazed at what God will do through that small step.
And thank you so much. Indeed, you will be
Thank you so
amazed,
much.
like he said, what God can do for you when you do the right thing.
That's
Don't
right.
succumb to pressure.
At all.
He said you refused. In as much as on that day he didn't have money, he didn't have food,
Nothing.
nothing. But he didn't want to just follow the wrong way. And he's saying to all the youth there, please, no matter the pressure, don't do the wrong thing. Follow the right path. Eyes on the hill.
Help on the hills.
On the hills.
That's
and
right.
you surely get it. Thank you so much, Kelvin.
Thank you, ma'am.
I will say to you that the sky will be your starting point.
Amen.
Don't worry, you will soon blow. And when you blow, we'll be here to celebrate you.
Yes, sir.
We'll celebrate you.
Thank you very much.
All right, we've been talking to Kelvin. He is a gospel artist, but you watched his music and you also heard what he said. Please don't succumb to pressure. The program is still Good Morning Abuja. Right now, let's go into the kitchen. And guess what? We know that beans is expensive, like people will say, but there are so many things you can do with beans. Have you done begiri by yourself before? This time we want you to do begiri. I know when you add begiri, wedu and all the rest. With this kind of weather, I know it's cold weather. Don't let me whet your appetite. Let's see how to prepare begiri. We'll be right back.